It's a shame we couldn't get Carter Elliott on this video to talk about one of his favorite players in NCAA history, but Malik Reneau has entered the transfer portal, and he has an official list that we are here to break down today. Malik Reneau is hearing from the following schools per Joe Tipton: Auburn, Clemson, Kansas, Miami, Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio State, Texas Tech, USC, and Virginia Tech. Quite a smorgasbord of schools here, some of the best programs in the country, some of the baggiest bag dropping programs in the country, and a few others that you could mix in and see Malik Reneau having success at. Notably, your team and my team are both on this list, Michigan and North Carolina. So let me throw it to you, Riley. What is your reaction to seeing that North Carolina is pursuing Malik Reneau?
I want to know how serious it is. There has not been much like chatter that like Carolina's really zeroing in on him. I mean, maybe it's a do your due diligence. I don't know. Like he was someone who I was a big fan of his game when he was at Montverde. Honestly, like his high school tape reminded me a little bit of Armando Bacot, just in the sense of like could bang a little bit low post, like wasn't a super above the rim type athlete, but had enough skill to where you could see the upside becoming something. And even more so than Armando, like when he was at Montverde, I thought like the passing touch, the feel for the game, that popped a little bit to where I was always intrigued. But I think I'm very curious to see how he blossoms in this next stage of his career, if he's able to. I mean, he's about to be a senior. You don't normally see guys break out in year four, but just getting out of Indiana with a change of scenery and like under a new coaching staff. Now, G, I know that you're not a fan of Malik's game, and you've probably watched him a lot more than I have because I wasn't exactly tuned into Indiana this year. But what is it about Renew that you don't like or that you don't want on your team?
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's a weird world with Reneau. You and I just did the Elliot Cadeau video, and I'm very anti Cadeau as an archetype and just an ad in general. I am not as harshly against Malik Reneau, the player, as I am some of the least favorite players on my board. I
Hmm.
do think in general Renew is a guy that schools may overspend on because he does have flashy poppy skill set stuff. He has gaudy numbers. If you just look at the game logs and his profile as a basketball reference player, you're going to think he's one of the very most valuable players in the portal. And his list reflects that. A school like North Carolina would immediately upgrade what they had in the front court this last year. I think Kansas is a school that has no shortage of resources for a player like Malik Reneau. You know that Miami is trying to spend money. You know that Auburn is a place where bigs can go and have success and spend money. So, look, I'm worried that wherever he goes, they're going to think they're getting a better player than they're getting because
Hmm.
he is out of all the players I've covered in the Big Ten in the last 4 or 5 years of doing this, Malik Reneau is one of the loudest empty stats guys that I have come across. There has not been a game in person. We did the college hoops to go thing where we went around. I watched Malik Reneau 3 times that year. There has not been a person in person game where I have ever felt like Malik Reneau is controlling a game, dominating a game, winning his matchup, and that includes a couple games I saw him score 20 points, 7 rebounds. Like he is passively productive. And I think when you watch the way this Indiana season played out, it made a lot of sense that, he was off the court in some of their biggest moments. He came in and out of the starting lineup. Once Mike Woodson was accepting that he was going to leave this program and didn't have to do exactly what donors wanted him to do anymore, Woodson basically threw Malik Reneau out of the starting lineup and said, "You're a bench guy now." And I think that was a good development for Indiana. Renew also played inspired ball at the end of the season once that happened, so maybe that has a shift to it. But in general, he's just not a player I trust at all. I think he's a defensive liability, doesn't block shots, and it's all offensive, empty stat stuff mostly.
Yeah, kind of to that point, you know what one of my favorite Malik Reneau stats is, Greg?
What's that?
The man attempted 17 field goals per 40 minutes. That's a lot for a player whose skill set, I would say. You see some of the low post scoring. I get he theoretically can like stretch the floor a little bit. I know he only hit three threes this year, but that's a lot more shot attempts than I think you want a player of his archetype taking. For me, like the best version of Malik Reneau is the guy who's making plays off the short roll, who you're running like high low with. Like Kansas is one of those teams on the list. It's easy for me to envision him feeding Flory Badunga like off of post seals, or seeing him at Auburn making reads at the top of the key for their flex action like Dylan Cardwell does, where he's taking, 5 to 7 shots a game, not in double figures. Or even at a school like Clemson, I know that was on the list. The Ian Shefflin role, I think, should be an easy sell for him, where you get to do a little bit of playmaking. I mean, I think he's got to get a little more physical and tougher on the boards to replicate what Shefflin's got like for Clemson. But those to me would be the schools I'm looking at, where there's an archetype where you can follow, where you can develop, and maybe you start to get a little closer to living up to that 5-star pedigree you once had.
I think the hard part with Renew is he's not a center.
Hmm.
He's six, what is he here? 6'9", 6'9", 230. And at the four, he's just not good enough on the perimeter. So you're kind of stuck in between, like playing small and getting beat up down low, or playing big and not having the spacing you want. He never found the right pair. And if you think about it, in 3 years at Indiana, Riley, this is maybe the loudest reason I would be skeptical of this. He played with Trace Jackson Davis, Khalil Ware, and Umar Ballo in 3 consecutive years and never found the right fit. I mean, that's a big that can step out in space for you. That's a big that's going to dominate down low for you. That's a big that's going to do everything for you. And Renew never just found the comfort zone. I have a
Hmm.
hard time imagining he's going to go somewhere else that has a better pairing for him than that. And, you look back at this list, Kansas has been a school that has overpaid for guys that don't live up to what they think they're getting. Ohio State being on this list is funny to me because Jake Diebler just landed Gabe Cups, and last year Jake Diebler's offseason plan was Sean Stewart and Aaron Bradshaw. Like, did he learn his lesson,
Yeah,
Riley?
that the Ohio State one, I'm like, please, Malik, don't go there. No matter how much. Like you mentioned the Breaking Bad Jesse Pinkman gif in our Elliot Cadeau video. Me to Malik is like Walter White yelling no in the car. Is that like, no, Malik, don't go to Ohio State, don't go to Diebler. It's just gonna be more of the same what you had at Indiana. I want him to go somewhere where he can fully develop and be coached hard. And that's to me like, because you mentioned, he's not a five, he's not a perimeter oriented four. Why not go to Clemson or Auburn, where they both just had really successful seasons? I know Auburn's is still going on, of running two bigs who weren't like, with one of those bigs not necessarily being a perimeter threat. Like Dylan Cardwell's not a threat on the perimeter. He can pass. That's it. Ian Shefflin will take the occasional jump shot, but I wouldn't say he's like a better shooter than Malik Reneau. Those to me are like no-brainer stylistic fits. And if you're looking for I think Clemson, I mean, I have no idea what their basketball NIL situation is, but if their boosters are serious, they could make it happen. And with the extension Brownell just signed, and like you've had back-to-back good seasons, and McNeese upset notwithstanding, like invest some money in that and get it popping. Get my conference a little bit better. Dare I say hashtag save the ACC, because my school's not doing it anytime soon. But yeah, like those are the archetypes I'm looking at, the stylistic fits that could maybe get the most out of him.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I like the Clemson fit out of everything we've named. Auburn is not a bad shout, although my fear with Auburn is they're going to view him as a Janai Broom replacement. Just totally different archetype players, even the way they're wired mentally. It just not
Yeah.
if you production wise, sure, but it's Broom's such an athlete, such a shot blocker, such a
Hmm.
dog. That's
Hmm.
just not Malik Reneau at all. So I'll throw my hat in the Clemson ring. I think that would be the best landing spot for Malik Reneau. Do you have either a prediction or a hey, buddy, go here answer for Malik right now?
I
You can say
think
your own school
Auburn.
if you want. Like,
I don't really want Malik Reneau. I think that'd be a weird fit. We have Caleb Wilson at the four, and I don't really want to play in the five. Yeah, I probably would. I think Auburn could bring the dog out of him, so to speak. But yeah, I might for sell. Okay, I'll go with Clemson to like beef up my conference a little bit more too.
okay. So Riley and Greg Consulting Services have just sent Malik Reneau to Clemson. Malik, you're welcome. Good luck on your journey. We'll have more coverage of Malik Reneau's portal exploits as they continue. Subscribe to the Sleepers channel, by the way, so you can get all of our portal updates. We're dropping like 40 videos today. It's the craziest time of year. And thanks for watching.
It is March, and that means that March Madness is upon us. And if you are looking for a place to play, Underdog Fantasy has you covered. Sign up and deposit using code SLEEPERS, that's code SLEEPERS, to receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick. Head over to Underdog Fantasy today and use promo code SLEEPERS to take advantage of this amazing offer.